YouTube. In today's video, I will be helping you pick which iPhone 17 Pro or 17 Pro Max to pick, which size. Don't make the wrong decision. I do this video every single year and I help many people make the correct decision on their iPhone Pro model. So this year is quite interesting as we have a new model in the mix, the iPhone Air. But in reference to the Pro models and the new redesign, the engineering, and most of all, bigger batteries. So at this point, I can confidently say that battery is not a deciding factor in between the two for most users, except for those who are phone addicts, heavy, crazy power users, and you just always want the bigger and larger battery. No matter what, it's obvious you're gonna go Pro Max. But it used to be in the past that battery life was a huge decision factor in the toss-up. There's so many people who would prefer to have a smaller device in the Pro size phone. Apple used to always gatekeep certain features to the Pro Max model versus the Pro model. This is no longer the case. You can grab a 17 Pro confidently in comparison to a 17 Pro Max and get the exact same experience, except for a slight edge to battery for the Pro Max, obviously due to physical size. So outside of that, we're gonna get into specs. I'm gonna put them side by side. I'm gonna let you guys know exactly different weight, measurements, use cases, and so forth, and how it just feels from a user experience in between the two so that you can make the best decision when picking one of these expensive devices. Let's talk about size and dimensions in between the two. When we go into the 17 Pro Max, we have 163.4 millimeters of height. We have a width of 78 millimeters and a thickness of 8.8 millimeters. Now we compare that to the 17 Pro's height of 150 millimeters versus the width of 71.9 millimeters and the exact same thickness at 8.8 millimeters. So these are exactly the same thickness. The only difference is going to obviously be the height and screen size. Now let's talk about weight. Weight is another deciding factor in between these two that people take into mind. You have a larger 233 gram weight with the 17 Pro Max. This year, all of the body is aluminum. We've left titanium, so things have changed. And then you have a lighter 206 grams with the 17 Pro. So whether that's a deciding factor or something that you consider in your decision maker, it's just good to know where they stand weight-wise. Now, for me personally, when you are carrying these two and dealing with them, it's quite obvious that the 17 Pro is a lighter, smaller, more manageable device to have. So in your hand, in everyday use and so forth, for those of you who have smaller hands and so forth, this one's gonna fit in your hand a lot nicer. It's gonna fit in your pocket better. In comparison to the Pro Max, which is a larger, taller device, it can be difficult for people who have smaller hands. You will end up using the Pinky Olympics a lot to manage this device. If you wanna be able to navigate it, you end up doing things like this to get to the top and so forth, where the 17 Pro is pretty much, like as you guys can see, my thumb placement from top to bottom. At this point, I've mastered both sizes. Definitely the 17 Pro for smaller hands is gonna favor you. And for those of you who are willing to take on the larger device, you want the larger screen, you want the bigger battery, you'll deal with and you'll figure out how to manage on the 17 Pro Max from a size and weight perspective. And then we get into the screen. This is another big deciding factor for a lot of people is going to be screen size. As far as the 17 Pro Max goes, you have a LTPO Super Retina XDR OLED, 120 Hz HDR10, 1600 nits with a 3000 nit peak brightness. Now this is a 6.9 inch display with a resolution of 1320 by 2868 pixels with a 460 ppi density, ceramic shield 2, and so on. Now, these have an anti-reflective coating this year as well, which is great because that was one of those things that Samsung was getting at Apple on. Shout out to Apple for finally updating that. Now we get into the 17 Pro, which is a 6.3 inch, 1206 by 2622 pixels with a 460 ppi. So the exact same pixel density despite the size difference. This is a 6.3 inch screen versus a 6.9 inch screen. And that pixel density is huge. It being equal amongst the devices just means you're literally only picking the size screen that you want in between these two devices. It has nothing to do with you getting a better resolution or better visual clarity on either or. They're the exact same pixel density. So I just want to clarify that. Exact same beautiful OLED screen, exact same 120 hertz refresh rate. So both are super smooth and super sufficient. Now let's talk cameras. You have this new center stage 18 megapixel camera on both of these. So the selfie camera is the exact same, which is really dope. And then when you get into the rear, we have 48 megapixels across all three cameras now. So 48 megapixel, 24 millimeter wide, a 48 megapixel, 100 millimeter periscope, and a 48 megapixel 13 millimeter ultra wide on both of these. You got Apple ProRes log and all of the goodness in both of these. So let's go check it out. Okay, so right now I'm using the 17 Pro front facing camera, holding it normal, you know, vertical, but we have horizontal or 16:9 video with log, Apple ProRes log. That's a mouthful, but that's a lot that's going on with the Pro models. Shout out to it. 17 Pro Max right here with a case on it. You know, we're playing it safe outside. But at the end of the day, video quality, the conveniences, the camera delivery on the Pro models is just top tier. And there's no separation. I know they eliminated the separation last year, but again, pick what size you want. The cameras look phenomenal. And to furthermore show you how great these cameras are, we have the rear camera shooting Apple ProRes log of the 17 Pro Max with our, you know, slightly protective case, air mint fiber. I like to keep it light and loose. But this way you guys get to see the rear camera quality aimed at like products and whatnot. And you literally can use these cameras to film full-on content. There's no like separation between, you know, you using your iPhone cameras versus a camera, especially with the level of log footage, Apple ProRes, and just all around sensor delivery. It's just really, really good at this point. So the cameras always deliver. Again, I'm using the 17 Pro, not the Pro Max, just to show you that you get the same quality and delivery even if you go with the smaller device. So it's 48 megapixels everywhere, ultra wide, the wide, and even in the telephoto. So right now I wanted to get some ultra wide shots with this new 48 megapixel triple array or whatever, and just look at the quality so you guys can see it as well. I will shoot telephoto really quick, get some shots. All right, this is 8x out to 4x. Look at that separation and compression all on the smartphone sensor. It's pretty cool, man. And if I show you my sneaker, which is down there, just to kind of give you some depth perception. And then if we were to go 8x at the sneaker, and this is all ProRes log everything. This is like really cool. And then go down to 2x and the normal wide and the ultra wide, so you guys can see. So from ultra wide to 1x, 2x, 4x. I'm gonna see if I get an 8x. Yep, 8x at that. Focus is hard for that, for minimal. Oh, let's see if I get back a little bit. Nah, it's a little rough. We would have to go down to the sneaker at that point. Okay, so you guys see the camera performance, whether you go Pro Max or Pro, is absolutely phenomenal this year. We got the Apple A19 Pro chip, 3nm architecture amongst the both of these. So this year is very easy for me to help you decide because it's literally up to what size device you want to carry. The battery life in the 17 Pro has been extremely impressive, the standby time. Now, things are a little bit interesting this year because typically during Apple season, I would double carry, you know, Pro devices, a Pro Max and a Pro. But this year, Apple decided to drop the iPhone Air. So the iPhone Air has taken the place of the 17 Pro as far as like everyday carry. But I did put in my work on the 17 Pro as far as battery life goes. I also monitored the standby time. Yo, this right here is really, really good in battery life, as well as this. We finally have above 5,000 milliamp hours on a Pro Max device. finally etching out the S Ultra devices on the Samsung ecosystem. And let's discuss the most exciting feature of this year, one of them, which is battery sizing. On the 17 Pro Max, we have a massive 5,088 milliamp hour battery on the eSIM only edition. So if you have a nano SIM model, it reduces down to 4,832 milliamp hours. Just want to note that. In the US, we are eSIM only. So we get the benefit of the 17 Pro Max's enlargement, as well as the 17 Pro's massive battery at 4,252 milliamp hours on the eSIM only model. Now, if you're where you get a nano SIM, that reduces to 3,988 milliamp hours. Even still, whether you go eSIM or not, I can only speak to the eSIM only. The battery improvements are phenomenal. The sizing, the fact that Apple chose to put components from down here up into here to make room for battery. And that was the change that these devices needed to really take them to even further levels of battery sizing, which equals battery life, battery efficiency, optimization. The battery on these is definitely king of the hill this year. And another great thing with both of these devices, they're all, geared towards the future technology, Apple Intelligence, and all of that. These devices run absolutely smooth from a user experience perspective. Whether I'm on the 17 Pro or 17 Pro Max, I do not feel any difference in between the two in performance. We also have this new engineering of an aluminum body, and thermals have been greatly reduced this year on these iPhones. Like the heat dissipation evenly across the device versus being like one hot super spot is a true thing, and you notice it because these devices stay a lot cooler, a lot less to get crazy hot. It doesn't matter which device you're using. The Pro devices this year are actually knocking it out of the park. Now, there's going to be a lot of back and forth around the design choice of aluminum. You guys, aluminum is softer. It's more prone to scratches in comparison to titanium, but it's better at heat dissipation. And you have the heat chambers and whatnot. Yo, listen, there's tit for tat, there's trade-off. Titanium is hard to mold, hard to deal with. Aluminum is a lot easier, and they were able to mold like this unibody design this year, which has its benefits. And it also has its, cons as well, as far as it being a lot more prone to scratches and things like that, which is simple. Get a case, put a case on it. Matter of fact, if you don't like thick cases, I like these cases, aramid fiber. Bam, bam. This right here is gonna solve any worries around scratching and vulnerabilities on the aluminum frame. Obviously, certain parts are exposed, but this right here just equals peace of mind, in my opinion. These are from Pataka. Links will be down in the description below. Okay, let's round this out. User experience. Both of these devices feel absolutely identical in user experience, software, smoothness, fluidity. The only difference I can speak to is going to be size and obviously that battery size. Only reason you're picking one or the other is simply due to the size of the device, especially in the area of screen. A lot of people go Pro Max for the size of the screen. They want just that extra real estate, but literally, you can go either or this year from a user experience, pure user experience, and you will not miss out, even in the area of battery this year, which I think is just great. This is the perfect place in Apple's, arc as to where you just pick whatever device you want, the one that services your needs and your usability the best. So if you want a smaller device, go small and be confident this year. If you want the larger big boy and get that extra crazy over 5,000 milliamp hour battery, along with that larger 6.9 inch screen, do it. My name is CJ. I know tech, so you don't have to. And I just hope that this makes your decision that much easier. It made it very easy for me. It's so much easier this year. So much easier. This decision is so easy. Well, it isn't if you are, going back and forth because you can't make up your mind, but the decision is easy.